So here we are jumping into the February 2026 Mid-Career Lab monthly Q&A call. We have Linda on the phone, Carla, Sally, and Marty. And this is going to be nominally, and we'll get into it, a resume profile clinic. So the idea is sharing the love for Valentine's Day and sharing our best capabilities and getting people to really respond to the value that we deliver and representing ourselves in the best way possible. So before we get going, I wanted to check in with people about the month and see if there are any wins, challenges, topics that you guys would like to bring up, general questions, personal career questions. Let's jump into it.
I'll start, John, just so there's not, an awkward
Go
silence.
for
I
it.
don't really have anything in particular to update on. I'm still looking for a full-time job. There have been a couple of positions that I've applied for in January, but I haven't yet heard anything back. Sorry, one was in January, but the closing date was February the 8th or 9th, so I might not hear back. And then for a week or so, and another, it doesn't close until next week. And that was filling in a good old application form, but I filled it in anyway. There
You
you
got to
go.
do what you got to do.
Exactly. And I've just really found out what you've always said to me, John, the power of networking. So I've attended a couple of in-person, I think they're called business professional breakfasts. And I went
Mhm.
along with the attitude of, well, it's not going to find me a job, of course. It might be a waste of time, but who knows till you actually try. And the first one I went to was really quite good. I was sitting next to somebody who said that she worked at the Financial Conduct Authority, which is the regulator for financial services institutions in Scotland. And she said that it was a great place to work. She was a South African lady and she spoke really positively of the environment there. So I've done that networking. I'll go to the same breakfast at the end of this month. I've reconnected with an old schoolmate who works in a law firm where I'm quite interested in working in, and she gave me her take on what it's like working there versus where she used to work. And I reconnected with somebody that I was put in touch with back in July of last year, and he graciously arranged to meet for a coffee with me once full year results are released at the beginning of March. So it's nothing substantial, but it's little bits of networking which is making me feel seen, I think. I think that's the what I really want to say.
Right.
No more than that. But it's better than trying these things rather than sitting, oh gosh, there's not many jobs coming up. Okay, there's not many jobs coming up. I can't manufacture them, but what can I do at this point in time? And I can keep networking.
Right. Right. As you were talking, one thing occurred to me that you might want to try, and this kind of goes into the area of thought leadership. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is there a presentation that you could create on best practices for the work that you do and kind of the experiences that you've had that would be of interest to people in your network who are working at some of these other companies, perhaps in the financial services, insurance area? Maybe there's some intersection between, the relationship between insurance and even reinsurance with financial services. Uh, 20, 30-minute presentation, some slides, drawing on your experience and observations. And the purpose is to target a particular population, stratum in your field and just offer to do a lunch and learn. Kind of show up for lunchtime, spend an hour with 45 minutes with a small group of people. Just get out there, right? That is often a really good way to just make yourself feel useful. Um, really drill down on the knowledge that you have, put it to good use, meet new people. You never know when it might come up in conversation. Someone might say, "Hey, just attended this event that Sally conducted," and you never know what might happen from that. So it's all about kind of getting your name out into the ether.
I like that idea, John. I'm not sure about the subject matter. I think I would, because it's kind of preference or whatever, but where I could speak with more, I think, exclusivity and authority would be if I was talking about my experience in the Middle East and what that's taught me for working in Scotland, or if people in Scotland are looking to relocate to the Middle East, then I would
Hmm.
be, I think, very well placed to give
Yeah,
people tips. So I like what you're saying.
yeah,
I think I would use the kind of exclusive angle, the Middle Eastern angle
yeah,
to make it more attractive. But
yeah,
that's a good sort of
yeah.
idea. Thank you.
And I would have conversations with your close advisors about this and say, hey, looking to get out a little bit more, and while I'm looking for a full-time gig, put my knowledge and experience to some good use and give back to the community. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. Get some conversations going, and people might say, "Oh, that's a good idea," or "How about this idea," or whatever. So I think having a little bit of feedback on that process and
Mhm.
perhaps prototyping one or two possibilities, and then try them out. Maybe if there are two or three different ones, try presenting each one and see what kind of response you get.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you.
Yeah. So welcome to Tad. I haven't seen you in a bit. It's good to see you again. And Stevie and Adesua joined us. So good to see you guys as well. Thank you for joining. We're doing a little bit of a kind of a check-in preamble on challenges and successes and issues and questions just to warm up before we get into the resume clinic aspect of the program today. So, anyone else have any questions or things they'd like to talk about? Marty, you're raising your hand. Go for it.
Yeah, it's maybe something that uh, you've been thinking about, but I have a birthday coming up pretty soon, and it's a big one, and I'm about your age probably, and thinking about personal urgency. I mean, I'm still working on fundraising for the film, looking for an editor, working on projects, but a feeling that Um, I don't have the rest of my life. It's like it's
Yeah.
quite finite now.
Yeah.
I thank God I'm in good shape and can do anything at the right now, but friends are dropping off right and left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you think of things like bucket list and I want to really make a difference, and you think about
Yeah.
legacy and uh, you know
Absolutely.
so
I hear you.
to put that urgency, I don't know. You don't want to put that in a resume, but
Right.
boy, things better start moving a lot faster.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, I hear you. I think about this myself. What's the question?
Well, I thought just share that what
Well,
uh,
let me make it easier. So, just pivoting off of what Sally and I were just talking about, I think, and kind of classically, and it's a cliche, uh, that at this point in our lives, we have much to share, and we have much to impart to other people, younger generations, et cetera, peers. So, you've had quite an adventure in film and entertainment, and um, do you journal by any chance?
not regularly.
Yeah.
I
So
know
I would encourage you as a vehicle to kind of get into this to start a journal, and I'll just kind of share my, well, the journal's not here, but to kind of do a page a day in a eight and a half by five Moleskine book, uh, just Artist's Way. You ever read Artist's Way, Julia Cameron?
No.
That's another great way to start this. So for those of you who are not familiar, Julia Cameron was a writer who wrote this kind of amazing book, Artist's Way, which has been kind of the foundation for artistic process, writer process for decades now. And she came up with this idea of the morning pages. And if you're blocked about where you're going, what you want to do, a project that you can't quite get started on, right, in her world, it's 3 pages a day. I'm suggesting only 1 page because I think that's a little bit more reasonable for those of us who are not professional artists. Uh, Stream of consciousness, whatever comes up, get into the habit of sharing your thoughts on paper, not typing them, but using a pen. That there's something magical about imparting words on a page with your hand that starts to generate this flow of ideas and wisdom that can really make a difference to your idea flow, your energy flow around this very topic that you're talking about of how do I give back? How do I take stock of this time that I've had on the planet when there's less and less of it left? And I want to make a difference. I want to, say something important so that at least I can feel that I contributed to the maximum that I could. So again, back to this question of providing presentations, seminars, lunch and learns, whatever, being in the education space, I would just go through your network again with this filter on and think about, well, who can I talk to about this? Who's got a company where they need to train people in technical or creative areas that and I could offer to kind of come in on a lunch and just address some of the needs. So in your case, you have this kind of vibrant, extended creative community. You might look at what the problems are that people are having, and start to address a number of different ones and see what starts to build traction. Again, this idea of prototyping that I talked about with Sally, see what works, ask your friends, what do they need? How are they dealing with the people that they're dealing with? And how could you be helpful? And you never know what's going to come out of it. It's not that you're abandoning your professional money-making pursuits, but you're adding this into the mix, right? This is another way for you to engage. So, give it some thought.
Do you read back your journal? How do you use it?
I don't, and I don't recommend it. I actually believe that the value of the journal is to get it out, get it on the page. If you come up with an idea that you want to work on, then write that down separately. So I can't demo this right now, but in the back of my notebook, I have a little pad of Post-its. So if I get some, bright idea or what turns out to be a stupid idea, but at the moment it feels like it's earth-shattering, I will pull the little tab out of the Post-it stack and I'll write that down and I'll put it on my desk for future reference. So as not to interrupt the flow of the writing, right? But in terms of the writing itself, mine at this point is completely illegible. I may not even be able to reread it once I've just written it. So I tend to kind of forget about it, and I either when I come to the end of a journal, I will either throw it away or I will actually throw it in the fireplace and burn it.
Wow. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. And the other thing related quick, the idea of writing a memoir, which is to really share everything I've learned.
Well, again, the journal is a great way to do that, right? Start writing your memoir in your journal, right? You need to kind of prime the pump, and that's a great way to do it. And you might get ideas about what the form of the memoir is going to take while you're doing your journal. You make your little Post-it notes, and pretty soon you've got an outline, and there you go.
Well, thank you.
Anyway, thank you for that. So let's take one more person before we get into the actual resume profile review. if someone has something to say. Carla, were you raising your hand?
Yes, I was if someone else wasn't also
No,
leaving.
go for it.
So I've been looking for another position since October. And things are a little slow,
Yeah, all over.
and I've been considering trying to maybe do a 1099 contract or a series of contract work, but I need health insurance, so I need a job for health insurance. Obviously in the United States. So I'm just kind of vacillating back and forth. Also, I find myself, kind of going into um, positions or looking at positions that I'm overqualified for, because I think in this time period in this landscape, it's like either you're going above and beyond what we qualify for or what we have been doing is not, it doesn't seem like it's a good time to do that, but it's also not a good time to go under, so it's kind of like, okay, how do I land, or where do I go? And at this point, you know, going into, month 5 or so, it's like, okay, I can't be choosy,
Yeah.
beggars can be choosy. So I don't know. So that's where I am right now. And,
Yeah.
in terms of the journaling that you mentioned, I just want to say, I find it helpful to do it journal at the end of my day, before going to sleep, because if I don't, whatever is in my head will stay in my head. And when I put it on paper, it really helps, kind of in my day. So that's always a good reminder.
That's a great point. And people ask me this all the time: should they journal morning or evening? And it really is depending. It's up to you. But I would recommend, as you are sharing, that a set time every day is a great way to do it, so that you are kind of looking forward to that time every day where you're going to have that really personal time with yourself to work on your journal. So that's great. In terms of your situation, again, and this may be a theme, getting out there in some capacity, if you are months into your job search, and not being so solitary in your process, because searching for a job, particularly when you get into the later months of the process, becomes very solitary. And I talk about this a lot, that it is hard to continue to network when you are not landing, right? When you're not getting activity, because naturally you feel like, well, there's something wrong with me, right? That I haven't landed a job. And I don't really particularly want to share it with anybody, because they're going to just be tisking at me about, oh, well, what, poor Carla, she hasn't gotten a job. It's like, well, whatever. You just don't want to deal with the opinions, the feelings, the judgment, or hidden judgment of the people that you're sharing this with. Understandable. You have to continue to work it. You have to continue to find a way to network, and it may be indirectly. One of the kind of attitudinal reframes that you may want to use in continuing to connect to your network is this idea that you're positive. You're still positive about this. Most of the time, people who you engage with, if you've been out of work for a while, they don't know what to say to you, right? They want to say something positive, but they're kind of cringing on a certain level because it could happen to them, and they don't want to think about being in that situation. So the most important thing you can do is reassure them that you're okay and that you're still positive about it, that you're learning a lot through this process, that you have been really, reevaluating what you do, how you do it. It's a tough market, but you're confident that something is going to break, that will relax the conversation. It also generates a positive spin, polarity within you, which will translate out there in every conversation you have. So if you do get a job interview and you have been taking this positive attitude in your personal peer conversations, you're going to be able to bring that positive attitude into the interview, which gets me to the topic of being overqualified. So it's very difficult to navigate this overqualified thing because the hiring manager, recruiter is naturally going to kind of look at the profile and go, why are you applying to this job? Right? You did this 20 years ago, right? And that's when they're being nice, right? What I don't know what I don't want to put a percentage on it, but certainly what a lot of younger recruiters are going is, ooh, this is Eck, this is someone who is kind of a charity case to put them into this job. It's like, oh my God, we don't want that. We don't want someone, and I've heard this line, we don't want someone who's in the decline time of their career. We want someone who's on the rising side of their career for this position, which is unbearably ageist. So you have a tough road to hoe here in applying to positions for which you are overqualified. However, if you are able to look at that position and really come up with this convincing story about why this is the right position for you and why, even if they think of you as overqualified, and yeah, you've done this and you've been doing this for a long time, that actually means that you're great for it, that you really want to do this job because you can, and you can bring so much experience to doing the job that you're going to hopefully impress them with the fact that, oh, overqualified in this instance is actually a good thing. And then if you are able to further the conversation by saying, and without being so blatant about it, I'm up to date on all the skills I need to do it right. So I not only bring all that experience, but I'm coming to it from a very fresh, contemporary perspective. So it's a kind of a strategy that you got to work out for this cadre of jobs for which you're overqualified, and really prepare for this pushback that you're going to get and the skepticism. And this may actually, as we're going into the profile clinic, apply to how you message this through your profile so that you're able to appeal to and get considered for jobs for which you would appear to be overqualified. Sally, you had a question.
Yeah, but you've just answered it, John, because I was about to say, from what you said, I understand, but it's almost based on the supposition that you actually have an interview. How do you convey that same message through your resume or through your LinkedIn profile? But you've just said it, so I'll keep quiet. I was jumping the gun.
Okay. So Carla, do you wanna jump in here and be a guinea pig and share your profile and we can take a look at it?
Sure. Yeah, so my LinkedIn profile or my resume?
Yep. So can you bring that up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to give everybody a quick heads up, I may have to skip into another meeting and then I'll pop back in again if I can.
No worries. No worries. You're welcome no matter how
While
you want
Carla's pulling this up, I guess one thing I'd share with Carla is my current job, I took a step down. I was a senior director of marketing and I took a job as a director of marketing, working for someone who was a colleague of mine who literally said, I should be working for you, but would you work for me? And I said, yes. And when they asked me about the age thing, I'm 58. So I've been asked about the age thing. And I just simply said, well, call me whatever you want to call me. The salary is within range and I can hit the ground running. I've got the experience and this company really needs to move quickly. I'm excited to join an organization that really makes a difference. And I think I could be a great fit here with your team. Now, almost a year later, the company has been very unstable, restructuring constantly. My boss has left, and I was just told today that they're going to give me a promotion to senior director of marketing. So it's been a go-between gap place for me to stand while I continue to look for that other job, a more stable company that I'd like to go towards. And as far as journaling is concerned, I don't know if any of you guys use OneNote, but I use an iPad. I've got everything written down, and I downloaded a program called Key to Success where I can document and put down my thoughts, but I can do weekly planning. So in my weekly plan, I say, what were the misses? What did I learn from last week? What are the challenges, the boulders I've got to overcome? And what do I want to accomplish this week? That gets my mind in a set of, okay, I've got a plan. I know what I got to do, regardless if I got people around me. And I've had a lot going on because I just lost my mother. I moved to New Jersey to take care of someone with Alzheimer's. It's been a lot, but that's how I've kind of managed it, is journaling, but journaling in a way that is planning and a reflection on what worked and what I can improve on for the planning of the week ahead and for taking a step down so that I can take a step up. So, quick summary.
Tad, thank you so much. That is gold. That is fantastic. Right, hit it right out of the park. And I mean, when you said your boss left and you just got the notification, I'm thinking, are they laying him off? But no, they're promoting you. So how
Yeah.
amazing is that? Right?
I could be laid off still because the company's not stable, but
Right.
if I get this promotion, which looks like it's going to happen, it buys me more time. That's all this job is.
Right.
I
Well,
lived in California. Am I going to live in New Jersey? I hope not. But
but also the thing about the promotion is, and fingers crossed that's going to land, is that is a great signal, uh, taking that you're going to take out into the next position, right?
yeah,
The fact that you came in, and I think the narrative is great that you took the step back because you saw the opportunity. And as you said to them, title doesn't matter. I want to do the work. So taking that step back, you did the work, they rewarded you with a promotion. Oh my God, that is a very, very strong story that you're going to be able to tell for, I mean, even if the company stays in existence, but you decide you want something better, this is a fantastic narrative. So it's a big, big win, Ted. Congratulations.
thanks. And I just do think all of us, I don't know if we all feel some sense of this ageism stuff because it's certainly lingering over my head, constantly almost being 60. Um, and being asked how old I am, uh, but also playing to my strengths of, look, I've been there, I've done that, and I'm ready to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can,
Great.
whereas the
Great.
younger generation can't or won't.
Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Anyway, I wanted to get back to Carla to see if she's ready to share her profile with us.
Sure, yeah. So I'm just going to share um, my screen.
And by the way, just I really want to, for everyone, I think Tad really modeled a great participation on the call, which I really encourage and invite you to jump in with your views and your experiences, particularly now as we're going to be reviewing Carla's profile. I think everyone's experience is valid here. I have my framework, but there's so many opportunities to put your own spin on it. And I just want to encourage people to not just be spectators here, but to also jump in, ask questions, give advice.
Okay, thank you. So I'll share. Okay, so this, can everyone see my profile?
Not seeing it yet.
Let's see. Oh, never mind. I have to click share.
There we go. I think it's coming up.
Okay, great.
Something's coming up. Hold on. All right. I think we're seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Good.
So I thought I removed this. I thought I removed the open to work thing the other day, but I'll do that later.
All right. So let's start with your headline. So scroll down.
Okay.
Great.
So
So scroll down. I'm not seeing it. Keep
or
going.
up.
Scroll down so we can see the headline. I'm sorry, go scroll up.
Oh, up. Okay.
That's great. Okay. So just a little housekeeping. So Carla Rose Allen. So there's a maiden name in there. Is that right?
Yeah, Rose is my maiden name. So
But you're also using it as your middle name, or is Carla Rose?
no, it's just I don't know. I just wanted to have Rose Allen and
Yes.
okay.
I would just say don't have it twice. So either you're
Okay.
Carla, which is fine, parentheses, Rose, maiden name, Allen, or you're Carla Rose Allen. Either way, but I think
Okay.
this is a slightly confusing signal.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I will change that.
But it just takes notes. So you don't have to do this today. That'll just take too much
Yeah,
time.
no, I'll change it later. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about your headline. So typically what I would encourage people to do is to state your role. So you are an operations and project management executive, leader, specialist, expert. Put a noun in there to really anchor your professional identity. One trend that may or may not work for you at this stage is the idea of really creating a marketing focused headline, which is to say, I deliver X value to Y stakeholder for Z result. So if only as a thought exercise, I would recommend that you examine this proposition and think about what is it exactly that you do or deliver, who is it for, and it could be a sector, it could be some aspect of the organization, and what is the result?
John, just to jump in on the similar thought,
Robert,
in reading this, in terms of what industry or market sector you're in, these titles mean very different things. An operations person who is a facilities manager or working in a plant is one thing, as well as project management can mean a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Process optimization. I think I like the notion of a board member tagging that in there because it sort of gives you a little broader perspective personally. But I go to your point, John, of what do these roles actually mean in terms of what you're offering somebody?
Right. So
that's industry specific. Because at this point, Carla, I don't know what you do. I know what you've done, but I don't know what you do based on where you are.
Right.
Because you haven't told me yet that it's architecture or rocket science or pharmaceuticals or movies.
I'd also ask, also in relation to mine, do you put if you do different things, would you put several different things in that, or
You
just have
could.
one?
I would encourage you to narrow it down to, maybe one, two, maybe three, hopefully all related and all interdependent in some way, so that it makes sense that you would be functioning at the intersection of those two or three roles.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Carla, thoughts about this?
I totally get what you guys are saying, because my experience for the last several years have been in construction management. I am not a project manager in the construction field, which is very different from a project management in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily want to stay in construction management for a variety of reasons. And so I want to move into other areas, other industries, and so that's what my profile or my headline is
Right.
trying to relay, but I don't know if this is the best way of doing that.
Yeah. I think doing it this way puts you into a limbo, because if you may not want to remain in the construction industry, but you haven't defined the industry that you're going to. So you're kind of stuck between in this headline. My bottom line recommendation would be that you continue to represent yourself as being in your industry.
Okay.
But in your profile and in your about section specifically, which I want to get into now, you're able to articulate the evolution of your career to date, the ways in which you deliver value and make a difference. And through that narrative, through that mission statement, you are able to articulate roles, value, delivery that will apply in other industries. So you want to use your about section to kind of define the transferable skill sets and mindsets that will make someone look at your profile and go, oh, but you're in construction. Oh, yeah, but I see, oh, but you do this, 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 and this. Oh, well, that applies to our business as well.
Okay.
Right. So I think you want to be able to create this narrative that acknowledges what you've learned and established in your current and prior industry, but take people through the breadcrumbs or the lily pads or whatever, connecting the dots around how this applies out, because those are the conversations that you want to have. And in a more network centric job search process where you're trying to get into more conversations to present yourself and explain yourself, that's where you're going to kind of get people to have the light bulb go off and go, oh, okay, I get it. Oh, so actually you being in construction actually is an asset for you coming into our business, right? That's what you want to create. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely.
Any other comments on this? Thoughts?
I guess one of the questions, you said within construction management, you weren't a standard PM or project exec, running a job. What were you doing? Because if you're on the sort of the office end of that, to all the coordination that goes into the back end of construction management, the office stuff, not the guy standing in the field, is of huge value and a huge applicability to a whole range of things.
Right.
And
I just want to interrupt here because Carla, Bob is an architect. So
okay.
Right. So
nice.
So full disclosure.
Construction managers.
But one thing on that point, which I think is good, is if you've got a vocabulary issue, project management, and that kind of goes into, oh, so she's a project manager in construction. Maybe you want to bill yourself as a supervisor. Or executive.
No, that means something else in construction, John. You don't want to use that one either.
No.
Then find some more neutral descriptor right? Which is not going to kind of knee jerk push people into, oh, I think I know what you do. It's like, no, you don't. So that's important. That vocabulary choice is going to be important. And it may be that you just go with executive, right?
One of the words I've heard
and
used.
again, just let me finish this. And again, this is where your close network advisors, your so-called personal board of directors, can be very helpful in having this conversation with them, going,
Right.
Here's my goal. Here's what I'm trying to do. I want to describe it this way, but help me out, right? And those are the kinds of the conversations. And you may want to connect with Bob Hicks offline here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? To have this conversation.
The word that came to mind about this, and a friend of mine used to use it on his business card. He was a catalyst. Served as a catalyst, and it covers a whole range of things. It could be a project manager, it could be all sorts of things, but it might be a suitable word to use.
Love that. Okay, so Carla, let's move down to your about section, my favorite part of the profile. And if you would open that up, great. So I'm just going to squint a little bit.
Is that should I zoom in?
There we go. Yeah, no, there we go. Great. Okay, so I'm reading this along with everyone else. Cool. All right, so I think this is in pretty good shape. What I would say is that you have more room. You have more characters that you can use. I think you probably have, from looks of it, probably about 1,500 to 2,000 characters in there. You have up to 2,600. I would use as much as possible.
Okay. Yeah.
To
There's another.
Yeah, you've got even less, 1078. Okay. So you've got a lot of room here. So, my kind of 3-act formula is that you really start with your why. And, why is it that you do what you do? You've got some of the elements in there as well. And I love this idea of my path into construction was unconventional. That initially sets up this idea that, this is someone I need to pay attention to and listen to that story. How is it unconventional? And then you go on to explain that. So I think in the process of sharing your unconventional evolution into the field, you have an opportunity to discuss the why you came in, what was resonant about it. I think the about section is an important opportunity to share who you are and why you do what you do, to give people an understanding of you personally for the professional value. So I would lead with that, but then also talk about a couple of specific instances from your past work that relate to what you do well, where you've had a success and how your mind thinks. So typically this would be, we had this problem to solve. The conventional wisdom would have been to go this way, but here's why I thought we shouldn't, because I saw this problem that no one was seeing. So therefore, we decided to go in this other direction that I encourage people to do. We built it out. We were successful. So that kind of thought process, so that the person reading this can get a sense of, okay, coupled with this idea of being unconventional, it's unconventional in a good way because you're seeing things that other people aren't. Very valuable, very strategic. So you see where that goes?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, if I can do an interview, then they can ask for clarification or for,
exactly.
The
other thing about structuring an about section this way for everybody is that it kind of becomes a script for your interview.
Mm-hmm.
This is about what you want to talk about. You're giving them the kind of the hints, and it solves this question that everyone always asks. So tell me about yourself, right? Which everyone, is just terrified of having to answer that question. Well, you're answering it ideally in the about section.
Right.
And then you talk about you're exploring roles within construction and beyond. That's great. because now you have the opportunity to identify those transferable skill sets, right? So you're looking to apply in construction and beyond situations where this happens, that happens, where I can do this, where I can provide this kind of insight. So that's a great 3-act structure for you to work on. Again, start showing this around. That becomes another touch point for your network. If you're kind of feeling that you've been at this too long and no one wants to talk to you anymore, or you don't want to talk to them, here's an excuse to do it. It's like, I just redid my LinkedIn profile. I'd love you to take a look. What do you think? Sally, you had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Carla, I'm not an expert, but I am in communications. So if you want to send me a draft, I'd be more than happy to give a third party view on it, if that would be
that'd
helpful for you.
great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll be more than happy to do that for you.
Thank you so much, Sally. I appreciate
You're most
that.
welcome. No problem.
Sally, if you want to just drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat, that would be even better. Marty, your question.
I guess related to what I just mentioned before, the idea of several different things and how to integrate it. I mean, in my case, it's, let's say, director, cinematographer, screenwriter, software developer. At some point, I made a business card like that, and I was told, hey, you don't want to show that. If you get a job as a cinematographer, the director will think, he wants my job. And but I am all those things, and like I'm doing a script through the Writers Guild now, and I'm doing the film, raising money, and look for camera jobs.
Right.
How to put that in without looking less qualified for any one of them.
Right. Well, part of this, well, first of all, you want to, and this is an industry term, but you're appealing in the industry, you want to use the expression multi-hyphenate.
Yeah.
Right? Because you are a multi-hyphenate. And that immediately kind of paints that picture of you as someone who has established their areas of specialization and is comfortable with the idea of navigating back and forth through those areas. But then I think, what this says to me is that if you're a multi-hyphenate looking for opportunities to do multi-hyphenate work, which is basically all of it, right? You're a kind of a production company of one in a way. That's a kind of a definition framing of the work that you do. I don't know if commercially that makes work more accessible for you, whether there are people who are looking to hire, collaborate with, refer multi-hyphenates, but at least that gives you something to start with and kind of narrow it down so you're not playing this kind of game of, well, there's this DP job over here, but then there's this writing job over here. You can always pursue those.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
that's mostly, those are the jobs more that are out there. Like a good camera job, okay, I'll take it.
But I'm saying is that if you're from a profile perspective, while you're pursuing the individual creative opportunity, your profile gives you that multi-hyphenate identification, right? And that may be a way for you to kind of thread the needle here and have that as the reference point so that when you're applying to a particular opportunity, they understand that they're getting more, right? Right. And in your about section, you might want to consider discussing how all of those hyphenates, those different specialties work together and how everything makes you a better writer, a better director, a better DP, because you understand how all of these other aspects of the process feed in to that work.
So thanks. Yeah, that's good.
Bob, what's your question?
I just wanted to go back to Carla's about section.
Yes.
It may sound stupid, but Carla, in reading through it, I still have no idea what you did in construction.
Mm.
So I don't know what role you played in construction management within infrastructure projects, certainly public infrastructure projects. And then you go back to say you were interested in construction again, and yet you said earlier that you want to get out of construction. So part of me
Right.
finds that it's like, okay, which is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I want a job. I mean, so
I
if I
know,
have
I
to go
understand.
back
I'm
into
not
that,
questioning that,
and that's
but
kind of how my, how I
but
wrote it is
I
kind
would
of
say,
like, oh.
I guess I would try to describe what's more specifics what you
Mhm.
did in a construction management, and was it a firm or a public agency or whoever? Because and maybe that shows up when we get down to where
Well,
you work.
that's going to be in her
Yeah,
experience section, I'm sure.
but
Yeah.
it's just because of my knowledge of construction management and construction, I don't know what you
Mhm.
did. And I
Right,
think it's
right.
important that in this about section, people know what you did. I have a better sense of you being a court appointed special advocate, which I think is really cool. But I know I have a better sense of what that is from the way you
Right.
describe
So
it
Bob,
than
so
the other.
that's in my advice to Carla about the middle part of the about section is to reference ideally two specific instances where she was able to apply her brilliance to a couple of solutions, a couple of problems, a couple of solutions. That's where you're going to get that in the about section. That's where you're going to answer your question about, well, what did she do? She's going to be able to answer that, right? And then in the experience section, it will refer to the particular company, the particular job title, and the deliverables that she was able to deliver.
Okay. Yeah. So Robert, I think I left it vague in the about section because I I guess I would hope or assume that they would read about it in the
Yeah,
experience, because
exactly. The about section
because
is not uh, where you present all of the actual things that you did. That's the experience section, but the about section should kind of cue that up, lead into that.
Mhm. Yeah, because I work, both um, a contractor, manufacturer, and public works, you know, owned slash
Yep.
owners, so it's like it'll be a lot to put in
Yeah.
all of
So,
that in.
well, we're running short on time, so I wanted to
Yeah.
just throw a couple more things in here. On your experience section, you want to make sure that you're not just kind of throwing everything in the kitchen sink into your bullets. Only talk about the stuff that really supports the important work and your goals and ambitions,
Okay.
right? So that, and I would review this. So leading project meetings, distributed meeting minutes. I mean, that's just, I think that's fluff.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to assume that if you are working at a certain level, you're going to take care of your admin work. Talk about the stuff that made a difference.
Okay.
If it didn't make a difference, don't talk about it.
Okay.
Don't leave it in. And then when you've pared it down like that, look at, how does this fit into the overall evolution of my work? Because in a reverse order, you want to be able to show at your most recent level how you evolved from the prior position, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk about how things changed and the more senior level of work that you were doing. So
Okay.
people can see this evolution, but really narrow it down to the stuff that makes a difference.
Okay. Okay.
We're going to have to
John,
wrap it up there, but time for one more. Someone else?
John, do
Ted?
you still have your resume mimic exactly what your LinkedIn is or your
Yes.
LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay.
Your experience and your
It's
resume
essentially the
should
same
be
thing. Yeah.
essentially the same. Exactly. The LinkedIn is your master resume, so it contains everything. You will reformat that to fit into the 2-page PDF resume format, but everything should line up.
You're saying the experience section is your resume, basically.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, I want to respect your time. This was a very active session. Thank you, Carla, for being the guinea pig. This was great. I think this was very valuable. I hope other people got some value out of it as well. And we will see you on the next one in March. So thank you all for attending and have a great month.
Many thanks. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.